That silicone from the last video, it does not work with resin prints. Period. It just won't cure. It stays a sticky, gooey mess. If you're printing molds on an SLA machine, just forget platinum cure silicone. Today, I'll show you the setup that actually plays nice with resin and how we're getting a perfect tire on the very first try. Hit that subscribe button so you don't end up ruining your molds or wasting money on materials. Stick around, I'm about to break it all down for you. First things first, we actually need to print the mold itself. Now, when you drop your model into the slicer, here's a pro tip. Just tilt it on the build plate by about 15 degrees. Why? Because it helps smooth out those layer lines, giving you a surface that's as clean as possible. And for tires, this is a huge deal. Any tiny ridge or line on the mold is going to show up on the finished rubber, and we really want these looking professional. By the way, if you want to skip the design phase entirely, you can find the model for this mold and some other helpful links right in my bio. Once the print is done, we hit the most tedious part, removing the supports. If you just sit there with your nippers trying to clip them one by one, you'll be there all day. But there's a much faster way. I just hit the connection points with a regular hairdryer for about a minute. The resin softens up just enough that the supports practically peel off on their own. No effort at all. You just run your finger along the surface and they crumble away. Seriously, try this. It's a massive time saver and it'll save your sanity. Next up is a deep clean to get rid of any leftover resin. I personally use high-grade ethanol for this. I find it a lot better to work with than standard IPA. It doesn't leave that weird white residue. After the wash, the parts go straight into the UV cure station. It is absolutely vital that the mold comes out bone dry and completely clean, with zero sticky tackiness. If it's still tacky, it's gonna ruin your pour. Now that everything is cured and ready, we get to the fun part. Before we pour, we need to know how much silicone do we actually need. Last time I used an online calculator, but this time I'm using a much more precise method, the slicer. Open up your slicer, drop in the tire model, no supports needed, and hit slice. Check the stats and it'll give you the exact volume in milliliters. Now, I take that number and roughly double it. Why so much extra? Well, a bunch is going to stick to the sides of your mixing cup, and you also need a surplus to squeeze out to ensure no air pockets are trapped inside. I use that number as my target and measure everything out on a scale. That'll give you the exact weight of material you need for a perfect fill. Most technical silicones are white or translucent, which, let's be honest, looks like a toy. We want that realistic, deep black look. I'm using a specialized pigment that you can usually grab from the same place you get your silicone. The key here is less is more. Add it drop by drop and mix it thoroughly until the color is completely uniform. In my case, about 10 drops did the trick to get that perfect factory tire black. All right, let's talk chemistry. In the last video, I used platinum cure silicone. For FDM prints like ABS, it's perfect, but with resin prints, it refuses to set because of the sulfur and other chemicals in the resin. It's what we call cure inhibition, or basically poisoning the catalyst. That's why today we're using tin cure silicone. This stuff doesn't care about the chemical makeup of your resin. It'll cure no matter what. My mix ratio is about 2% catalyst by weight. Use a syringe to be exact. Once that catalyst hits the cup, you need to mix it very thoroughly but carefully. But keep in mind, as soon as you start mixing, the clock is ticking. You've only got about a 15-minute pot life. Since this stuff is pretty thick, we have to move fast through the next steps, the vacuum chamber and the vibration table. If you skip these, your tire is going to be full of tiny air bubbles and look like Swiss cheese. Straight into the vacuum chamber it goes. Flip the pump on and watch the silicone start to boil. We're pulling out all that air that got trapped while we were mixing. Just a heads up, under vacuum, the silicone can expand 2 or 3 times its size, turning into this big foam. So never fill your cup more than a third of the way up, or you'll be cleaning silicone out of your vacuum pump for a week. Once the foam collapses, you're good. The air is out. After degassing, time is really running out. The silicone is already starting to thicken. I move quickly over to the mold and start a slow, steady pour into both halves of the open mold. Try to keep it in a thin stream if you can. The mold is already sitting on the vibration table. This is crucial to make sure that thick tin cure silicone flows into all those tiny details on the sidewall. You see, this stuff is way more viscous than platinum silicone, so without vibration, it's just not going to work. Once both halves are full, I drop in the center core. This creates that extra volume for the silicone. I'll let it sit on the vibe table for just another minute to settle. Now for the messy part. We join the two halves together, and the excess silicone gets squeezed out through the seams. Yeah, it looks like a disaster right now with black drips everywhere. That's the downside of an open mold pour, but trust me, the result is worth the cleanup. I'll wipe off the worst of the excess and let it sit for a full 24 hours. That's the standard cure time for tin cure, according to the instructions. Patience is the name of the game here. Fast forward 24 hours, it's the moment of truth. Time to demold. Depending on how aggressive your tread pattern is, this might be easy, or you might have to put some muscle into it. The cool part, no mold release or Vaseline needed. The silicone doesn't stick to the resin, it's just held in place by the shape of the mold. And there it is. Look at that detail. I'm absolutely loving how this tire turned out. It feels like real rubber. And the best part about this whole process, once you have that one printed mold, you can churn out an unlimited number of tires. You could gear up an entire fleet this way. In the next video, I'm going to answer all your questions from the last post. I've seen a lot of skeptics in the comments saying these DIY tires are too brittle and will just tear during the first run in the dirt. But what they don't realize is that if you dial in the right shore hardness, these can actually be total cheat code tires that grip the track better than the big name brands. So subscribe, leave a comment with your thoughts, and share this with your buddies. We're going to keep experimenting with different molds and pour techniques. We've got a ton of new tread designs and tricks coming up. See you in the next one.